Students, this is Rita, Assistant Professor of Physics from Government College for Girls, Budiakheda, Fatehabad. As I have already discussed with you about the polarization and the various terms related with it. Now the next part I am going to discuss in this video is about polarimetry. This is very important application of the polarization phenomena. So in this video, I will discuss about the terms optical rotation, and then we will discuss the polarimeters, half shade polarimeter and the biquartz polarimeter. So first of all, I will start with the optical activity and the optical rotation. What happened that it is observed that when the plane polarized light passes through some substances, then plane of polarization of emergent light is not same as that of the incident light, but it has been rotated about the direction of propagation of light through a certain angle. So this particular phenomena is known as optical rotation. So we can say that the phenomena of rotation of plane of vibration is called as rotatory polarization, and this property of the crystal or any substance is called as optical activity or simply optical rotation. And the substances which show this property, they are known as optically active substances. So in order to represent this practically, I have shown here the two pictures. In the first figure, you can see that I have used the two Nicoles P and A. P is polarizer, A is analyzer. And they are mounted such that we can rotate about them about a common axis. Then we use a beam of monochromatic light from a source S, and it is made to incident on the polarizer P. And if the principal section of P and A are parallel to each other, polarized light is allowed to pass through analyzer also, as you have already discussed in the last videos. If the prism A is rotated so that the principal plane is at right angle to that of prism P, as shown in the figure A here, you can see that they are perpendicular to each other. Their principal sections are perpendicular to each other. Then the prisms are said to be in the crossed position. Then we can say that light is refused transmission through A. We will get no light out of A. Then the field of view will be completely dark. But in this particular situation, if we insert a quarter plate which is cut with its refracting phases perpendicular to the optic axis between the crossed Nicoles in such a way that light falls normally upon the quartz plate. You can see in the figure B here, I have inserted a quartz plate between P and A. Okay, then some light will emerge out of the analyzer A. You can see here, I have written here, I will get the some light out of A. Then obviously the field of view which was previously dark in the situation A, now it is not dark in the situation B. Although in both the situations P and A are at crossed position. But since I have inserted quartz plate in the second case, I will get some light. So what it means? It means that the light which was cut off in the previous case, now it is some light will be there in the second case. So this shows that the light emerging from the quartz plate is still plane polarized, but its plane of polarization has been rotated. Here I have shown you by the arrows. You can see the arrows which are incident and which are emerging from the quarter plate. They are slightly tilted. So means their plane of polarization has been rotated through some angle, and which it has been rotated by the quartz plate. Okay, so in order to restore the original condition, I have to rotate the analyzer. Means if I have to get the same no light position, I have to rotate the analyzer. And the angle through which I need to rotate the analyzer in order to get the zero intensity, that particular angle will be known as the angle of, that particular angle will give us the optical rotation. Okay, so the substances which rotate the plane of polarization, they are said to be the optically active substances. Commonly used substances are like quartz, sugar crystals, sugar solution, etc. These are the optically active substances. Some optically active substances, they rotate the plane of polarization towards right. They are said to be the right-handed or the dextrorotatory. and some substances rotate the plane of polarization towards left, that is in the anti-clockwise direction. Then they is said to be the levorotatory or the left-handed. Okay. Now here I have shown you that ऑप्टिकल एक्टिविटी जो है वो किन किन फैक्टर्स पर डिपेंड करती है. द ऑप्टिकल रोटेशन और द एंगुलर रोटेशन विच इज ऑब्जर्व्ड इन पोलैरिमीटर्स दैट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द फॉलोइंग फैक्टर्स. It depends upon optical activity of the compound. It depends upon the concentration of the sample which we have used. It depends upon the path length of the sample. You will just come to know about these terms in detail in the coming slides. So here I have shown the formula for optical activity. It is represented by alpha. It is equals to alpha observed divided by C into L. Here alpha is the specific rotation or the optical rotation. C is the concentration in grams per ml. And L is the path length in decimeters. And alpha observed is the rotation observed for a specific or for a particular sample. Okay. Now here are some fundamental principles of optical rotation. Right. So what is optical activity? I have already told you that the compounds which are having the ability to rotate the plane of polarized light, then they compounds or the substances are known as optically active compounds, and this property of compounds is called as optical activity, and this particular property could be measured with the help of the device which is known as polarimeter. Okay. Here I have shown you two figures. The first figure is showing that the incident light, I will be having the E component on the left side and on the right side. You can see here that is on the equal angle with respect to the incident one. The incident is shown along the z-axis, and E plus and E minus, they are representing the right-handed and the left-handed component, and they are equally inclined on both the sides. Means the angle on both the sides is same. But in the case of exiting light, exiting means emerging out light, the light which is emerging out of an optically active compound will be like this. You can see here that the E plus and E minus component, that is the right-handed component and left-handed component, and the plane of and their net result which was previously shown by the z direction, now it has been tilted through an angle theta, right? So this theta is known as the polarization rotation, which we have just rotated the plane of polarization with the help of the compound. Okay, so Fresnel gave the theory of optical rotation. Fresnel explained that the linear vibration may be taken as the resultant of two opposite circular motions of same frequency, as I have already told you in the previous picture, that is E plus component and E minus, that is left-handed and right-handed component. So we can say that linear vibration is the resultant of two opposite circular motions of same frequency. So he assumed that the plane polarized light on entering a crystal along the optic axis is decomposed into two circularly polarized vibrations, one in clockwise direction and other in the anti-clockwise direction, which are having the same frequency and having zero initial phase difference. Right. So we can say that in an optically inactive substance, these two circular components will travel with the same speed along the optic axis. Hence, at emergence, they will give rise to a plane polarized light without any rotation of the plane of polarization. So, these are the optically inactive substances which are unable to rotate the plane of polarization. And if we talk about the optically active crystals, optically active compounds like quartz, then these two circular components will travel with different speeds so that their relative phase difference is developed between them. Here I have shown you optically inactive material as calcite and optically active material as quartz. You can see in the case of calcite, which is optically inactive, the incident and the emerging light will be showing in the same direction, same phase. So same angular velocity of R and L means equal angles on both sides. So net rotation in the case of calcite is 0. But in the case of quartz, you can see here that I have shown by red arrow the left incident light and emergent light. You can see here that it has been rotated through some angle. So angular velocities of r is more than that of L, so emergent light will have a rotation. Okay, if velocity of right-handed component is greater than that of left-handed component, then substance is said to be dextrorotatory, and if the velocity of left-handed component is greater as compared to right-handed component, then this substance is known to be levorotatory. Okay. Now here we come on about the Fresnel's theory of optical rotation. We can see here, you can see here the three pictures A, B and C. Let us talk about the picture A first of all. So as I have already told you that Fresnel assumed that linear vibration may be taken as resultant of two opposite circular motions of same frequency. Okay, so here you can see that in an optically active material, in an optically active compound, what will happen that if these two circularly polarized vibrations, they will travel with the same speed starting from the point of intersection y dash with circle, and they will arrive at equivalent points P1 and P2 for a particular optically inactive substance. Okay, they will reach at the same time and they will be in the same phase as shown in the figure A. So what will happen in this case? The angle on both the sides is same and there is no rotation in the plane of polarization, since we are talking about the optically inactive crystal here. Here you can see here that in the picture that the OL is circularly polarized vector rotating in the anti-clockwise direction, and OR is the second circularly polarized vector rotating in the clockwise direction. The resultant of these two vectors is represented by the direction YY dash, that is OA. The resultant vibration will be along AY. Okay. So in the optically inactive, you can see it is along the axis YY dash. So it is obvious that these two circularly polarized vibrations on emergence, they will give to a linear vibration which is in the same phase, same plane as that of the incident vibrations. So no rotation of plane of polarization will be there. But if we talk about the optically active crystal like quartz, what will happen? The two circular motions will move forward with the different speeds, right? So as a result, what will happen? On emergence, these two circularly polarized vibrations will have a certain phase difference between them. Because their speeds are different, they will have some phase difference and they will combine to form the plane polarized light, whose direction of vibration will be inclined to the previous plane of polarization. So in the right-handed crystal, the right-handed or the clockwise component will travel faster than the left-handed component, and in the left-handed crystal, the left-handed component will travel faster as compared to right-handed component, obviously. So you can see here that if the original plane polarized light which was incident on a left-handed crystal, which is represented by the direction YOY dash, let VR and VL, these are represented the right-handed and the left-handed velocities. If we say that VL is greater than VR, means the left velocity of left side is more as compared to right, then we will say that the right component P1 will be retarded as compared to that of the left component on passing through the crystal. The position of the tracing points P1 and P2, you can see in the figure B here that there will be a phase retardation that is equals to phi. On transmission through the crystal, the P1 and P2 will travel with the same speed, and so they will cross each other at the point R. Okay, so which is in the middle of P1 and P2. So we can say that the resultant motion is linear and it is parallel to OR. So the rotation of plane of vibration is equals to delta, which is equals to phi by 2. You can see in the figure B here, delta is equals to phi by 2, and delta gives you the rotation of plane of polarization. Similarly, in the figure C, you can see here that if the plane polarized light is incident on the right-handed crystal, then the right component will travel faster, and then in that case we can see here again that there will be the angle phi between the component P1 and P2, and we will get the resultant component along the direction OA, and delta will be equals to phi by 2. Again, delta is nothing but that is the rotation of plane of polarization. So we can say that the rotation of plane of polarization of the two components is due to the retardation of one component as compared to that of the other. Okay. So this was all about the Fresnel's theory. Now here we talk about the next term, which is very important term, and we can also find this practically for the different materials. This term is known as specific rotation. The specific rotation is nothing but it is the measure of optical activity of a particular substance. That is, it is the ability of a substance to rotate the plane of vibration of polarized light. And how we can define it? We can define the specific rotation of a substance at a given temperature for a given wavelength lambda as it is the rotation produced by 1 decimeter length of solution when the concentration is 1 gram per centimeter cubic. And this magnitude of rotation depends upon nature of substance, concentration of the solution, temperature, wavelength, and the solvent also. So this was about the specific rotation or the specific rotatory power. Okay, the specific rotation we talked in this particular slide. It is also known as the specific rotatory power. Now the next topic which I am going to discuss here is the polarimeters. What are polarimeters? The instruments which are used to measure the angle of rotation of the plane polarized light which is passed through some optically active substance. These instruments are known as the polarimeters. Okay, so the polarimeter can be used to measure the specific rotation of a sugar solution, and they can be used to determine the concentration of the solution also. Okay, here in the picture I have shown that the polarimeter generally consists of two nicoles which are placed at some distance apart and capable of rotation about the incident beam as axis. The nicoles are adjusted first in the crossed position so that the field of view is dark. Then a tube containing the solution of the substance whose rotation is to be find out is placed between the nicoles. When it would be found that the field of view is no longer dark, then in order to restore the original position of extinction, the analyzing nicole is rotated again to some angle theta. And that angle theta will give us the value of or the measure of rotation of plane of polarization. So we can just find out theta with the help of this particular arrangement. You can see in the figure also. Okay. So we generally talk about the two type of polarimeters, that is Lorentz half shade polarimeter and the biquartz polarimeter. So first, this is a very important topic, Lorentz half shade polarimeter. You just look at the picture shown at the top, the first figure. This will tell you about the construction of the half shade polarimeter. What we have used here, this consists of two nicole prisms N1 and N2, which are mounted on some brass tube, and they are placed at some distance apart and capable of rotation about a common axis. Here H is used, and this is a half shade device which divides the field of polarized light emerging out of the nicole N1 into the two parts. Here T1 is the glass tube with round ends, okay, in which we will put the active solution. It is placed between the two nicoles. Here S is the source of monochromatic light. Usually we use the sodium lamp for this case. The light which is after passing through the narrow slit is made to fall on the convex lens L. Then again it is made to fall upon the polarizing nicole N1. After passing through N1, the light will become plane polarized and its vibrations will be in the principal plane of the nicole N1. This polarized light, after passing through the half shade device H, and then it is passed through the tube T, which is containing the active solution. Then it is made to fall on the analyzing nicole N2, and the emergent light is viewed with the help of the telescope at the end. You can see. The analyzing Nicol N2 can be rotated about the axis of the tube, and this rotation can be measured on some circular scale which is attached with it, right? So this was about the construction of the Laurent half shade polarimeter. Now I will discuss that how does it work, कैसे काम करता है ये. So listen carefully that let us suppose initially the half shade device H is not present in between. Then the position of analyzer N2 is adjusted so that field of view is completely dark. Okay. Now in this at this time the tube T is empty. In this position analyzer is crossed with respect to polarizer. So that is why we are getting the dark field of view. The reading of N2 is taken on the circular scale. Then the tube is filled with the required solution and placed in the position. Then this will rotate the plane of polarization of the light coming from N1 through some angle, let us by an angle theta, and the light is transmitted by the N2, and when we observe through telescope we will get some light there. So the field of view is illuminated now. Now the analyzer N2 is rotated until the field of view again becomes dark, and this reading is noted again on the circular scale. Now this will happen when N2 has been rotated through the same angle theta in the direction of optical rotation produced. If we take the difference of these two readings, then this gives the value of the rotation of plane of polarization. Okay, this is how it works. But it is found that in this case, when the analyzer N2 is rotated, the total darkness of field of view is attained rather gradually. It is attained very quickly. Then it is very difficult to find the exact position correctly for the complete darkness. Okay, because the field appears almost dark over the considerable range of rotation. So this was the difficulty with the this half shade plate H. So it has been removed, and instead of it the another device which is known as Laurent shade device that has been used. So what is a Laurent half shade device? You can see here the picture picture on the second row, the very first picture. It consists of the two semicircular plates. The half plate is made up of quartz while the other half is made up of glass. Both the quartz and the glass plates are cemented along the diameter YY dash. The quartz plate is cut parallel to the optic axis, and the thickness of the quartz plate is such that it introduces a phase difference of pi, that is a part difference of lambda by 2 between the O and E vibration, or in other words it is the half wave plate. Now the thickness of glass is such that it absorbs the same amount of light as the quartz plate does. Okay, so this was about the quartz half and the glass half of this particular device. Now in order to understand the action of this Laurent's plate, we will discuss it that if suppose that the principal plane of the Nicol N1 makes an angle theta with the optic axis of quartz plate, that is the principal plane of Nicol, then what will happen, you can see here I have shown you the half shade device. I have told you that half part is taken of glass and half part is taken of quartz, right? Now I will tell you about this. Now you can see in the figure here that if the principal plane of the Nicol N1 makes an angle phi with the optic axis of the quartz plate, that is the principal plane of the Nicol P is parallel to the AQ. Okay, you can see here AQ in the figure 1. When the monochromatic light from the source S after passing through the polarizing Nicol is incident normally on the half shade plate, on this Laurent plate, then the direction of vibration of plane polarized light along AQ. On passing through the glass half, the vibration will remain along AQ because glass is not doubly refracting. But on passing through quartz half, what will happen? Because quartz is a doubly refracting material. Then on passing through quartz half, these will split up into E component and O component. The E component is parallel to the optic axis AE. See in the figure number 2. Initially it was along AQ. Now on dividing in two components, O component and E component, you can see here the E component is along AE and the O component is perpendicular to the optic axis, that is along AO. You can see in the figure number 2. The O component will travel faster in quartz. So on emergence, what will happen? The O vibration will advance in phase by pi over the E component. So O vibration will take place along AO dash because it is traveling fast. So it will be along AO dash instead of AO. Okay. But the E vibration will be still along AE. AE. So the two components AO dash and AO of the original O component, on passing through the quartz, what will happen? It will become AE dash and AO dash. Initially they were AO and AE, and on passing through quartz they will become AO dash and AE dash. Right? These two component vibrations on emergence from quartz plate, they will combine to form a linear resultant vibration which will be along AQ dash. You can see the original was along AQ and the emergent is along AQ dash. You can see that now the angle between these two is equals to 2 phi, right? So it means that the angle of plane of polarization has been rotated by 2 phi. It means that the quartz plate has rotated the plane of vibration by an angle of 2 phi. Okay. Now, if the principal plane of analyzing Nicol N2 is parallel to AQ, what I have said, if the principal plane of analyzing Nicol N2 is parallel to AQ, the plane polarized light will pass through the glass plate and it will pass unobstructed, and through the quartz half it will be partially obstructed. So glass half will appear brighter than the quartz half here, as you can see. Okay, so the quartz half will appear brighter than the glass half. Okay, so I will discuss all these three cases in detail, that what will happen when the light will pass through glass half and the quartz half. You can see in the figure number B that if the Nicol A is slightly rotated from the setting, then you can see in the figure B that in the clock there is an appreciable increase in the transmitted amplitude from the quartz half and appreciable decrease in the transmitted amplitude from the glass half. Hence, the left half of the field will appear brighter than the right part, as you can see in the figure number A. Okay. Similarly, a slight rotation of Nicol in the anti-clockwise direction causes the right part of the field to appear brighter than the left part. It is shown in the figure C. You can see here that the plane of polarization has been rotated in the right side or the left hand side. Accordingly, right half or the left half is getting brighter or dark respectively. Now, it is the setting of Nicol A that the eye can easily detect a slight change in the intensity of light, and the readings are therefore taken for this position. Okay. And you can see in the figure number B, the intensity on both sides is same. That is, both halves are equally dark for this particular case number B. Okay. So we can say here that the advantage of this particular device, that is the Laurent half-shade device, over the complete extinction method is that if we slightly rotate the Nicol from the critical position B, then it will produce an appreciable change in the brightness of two half. Okay, initially the position will be A. If we slightly rotate the position of A from this particular position shown by the figure B, if we slightly rotate the analyzer, then there is an appreciable change in the intensity of the right half or in the left half. So it is able to detect. So a given half-shade device can be used only for a particular wavelength for which it has been made. So this is the limitation of this half shade device. So this was about the Lorentz half shade polarimeter. Now the next polarimeter is the biquartz polarimeter. Biquartz is the another simple and accurate optical device which is used to find out the optical rotation of optically active substances. Biquartz consist of two semicircular pieces of quartz cut with their optic axis perpendicular to the refracting phases. Then they are cemented to form the complete circular plate as shown in the figure. The thickness of each plate is about 3.75 millimeter, which is such that each rotates the plane of polarization of yellow light through 90 degree. You can see in the figure the plane of polarization in the right half and in the left half has been rotated through an angle of 90 degree. So one is in the clockwise and one is in the anti-clockwise. This biquartz plate is placed just behind the polarizing nicole to replace the half shade plate. In the previous polarimeter, if we replace the half shade plate with this biquartz plate, we get a biquartz polarimeter. So what will happen when the light from a monochromatic source, say sodium, is plane polarized by the polarizer and then it is made to pass through each half of the biquartz plate, it is rotated through the same angle by the each half but in the opposite sense. You can see here for the yellow, for the red, for the blue I have shown in the figure. Then on turning the analyzer, its position with sufficient accuracy can be adjusted when the two halves of the biquartz are equally dark. Here you can see in the figure number 1, the two halves are equally dark. We have adjusted the analyzer like this. When the monochromatic light is replaced by the white light, then the plane polarized by the polarizer passes through the biquartz normally. Its different colors will be rotated through different angles by each half, but again in the opposite direction. For yellow color, this rotation is 90 degree, and if the vibration in the incident light is along A1 or A2, then after passing through biquartz, the vibrations of yellow light are along the direction perpendicular to AA1. Okay. Then the vibrations of, you can see here, of red, of yellow, of blue in the figure. This phenomena of splitting the vibrations of different colors in different directions is called as rotatory dispersion. So if the principal plane of analyzing nicole is parallel to A1 or A2, yellow color will be extinguished in both halves of the fields and other colors will be present in the same proportion in each half. Therefore, the two halves of the field of view will be equally illuminated with the violet tint. You can see here. Okay, which is the figure number 1 I have shown here. This is called as the tint of passage or the sensitive tint. This represents the correct setting for the analyzer. The slight rotation of the nicole from this setting in the clockwise direction and the anti-clockwise direction has been shown by the figure number 2 and figure number 3. You can see here that the color of right-handed quartz will change from grey to red in the figure number 3, and the color in left-handed quartz will have been changed from grey to blue. Okay, in the figure number 2. So opposite results are observed when the nicole is rotated in the anti-clockwise direction. This was about the clockwise direction, and if we rotate in the anti-clockwise direction, then we will get the different results. So when the A nicole is rotated slightly through the critical setting, there is a significant change in the colors of two halves. Hence it is concluded that the position of tint of passage is very sensitive, and therefore it should be employed for accurate measurement of angle of rotation for the optically active substances. Okay. So this is how we can use the field of view in the biquartz polarimeter. This is representing the different dispersed when we use the white light instead of monochromatic light. This is showing the various rotations for the different colors, for yellow, for red, for green, for blue, for violet. You can see here in the left-handed and in the right-handed quartz. Okay, now here are some merits and demerits of the polarimeters. Although the half-shade device is very sensitive and very suitable for the persons who are suffering from the color blindness, but it is suitable only for one particular wavelength for which the part difference between E ray and O ray is lambda by 2. On the other hand, if we talk about the biquartz polarimeter, it is more sensitive as compared to half shade polarimeter, but uh, it works equally well with the white light also. Okay, but here is one disadvantage, that the color blind people cannot use this biquartz. Okay, and also the color sensitivity of eye varies from person to person, so different persons with a different normal vision will get the different results with this biquartz polarimeter. So these were the merits and demerits of both the polarimeters. And last is the optical rotation applications. Applications are, it is used to find out the percentage of optically active material present in the solution, and we can find out the amount of sugar present in urine of a diabetic patient, which could be determined by measuring the angle of rotation of plane of polarization. Okay, so this was all about the polarimetry and both the polarimeters. I hope you enjoyed this.